You get a call and you say, what are your packages? And you're like, for what?
Yeah.
Bridal makeup? Like what?
I mean, influencers are the name of the game.
Hey there, food lovers. This is Preet aka Chubby Guzzler from the Gourmet Tales Co. That's GTC. Well, I am a food curator, as all of you all know, and this is exactly what I do. I curate F&B, I curate experiences and strategies and narratives around food. And this is exactly why we have created the Curator's Table, a series where we explore different avenues of food with the people who've actually shaped this industry. So this is not really an episode or, like an interview show. It's more about talking to people who've actually built this industry. So yeah, do follow us, and we have something really interesting always coming up. So in each episode, we are exploring a different topic with different people. It's an honest conversation, no filter. And the very first episode is PR Unmasked with 3 women who have literally shaped the PR culture of India. So this is episode 1, that is PR Unmasked. And today we are talking to 3 women in this industry who literally built food PR for all the restaurants in India. So beginning with, of course, we have Riddhi Wallia, who is my first mentor, my first boss, and my first, oh my God, let's build something real. Mirabilis Inc has been 25 years old now, and I think, Riddhi, you have invented PR for hospitality, for lifestyle brands, way before anyone even knew what PR was. So I'm so happy to have you here. Then, of course, we've got Varisha Kampani from VCK Communications. Varisha, you came after Riddhi, but 17 years in this business.
Yes.
Literally, you built something very different when it comes to PR and brand strategy building. And I love it because every time you're my to-go person, any brand calls me up and asks me for recommendations on a hospitality brand PR agency, and VCK is what comes to my mind.
Thank you.
And then, of course, we've got our new age PR, but not so new, because we've got Shruti Kedia, the co-founder of Sparkplug, and currently she is painting the PR town red because she's literally been everywhere, pan-India, having, I think, you've been doing PR and brand strategy for almost all the restaurants that I can think of these days. And if I'm not wrong, you're also diversifying into Sri Lanka.
Yes.
So yeah, welcome the 3 of you all.
Thank you.
3 women,
So
3
excited.
powerhouses,
Yes.
and 3 eras. So yeah, let's begin.
Yes. Excited to be here. Thank you for having us.
Okay, so here's the real talk. I've been working with so many brands, hospitality brands mainly, and there's this one problem that I particularly face. Every time a new founder comes to me, they ask me 2 questions. Someone comes and tells me we need PR. Someone comes and tells me we need marketing. So Riddhi, I want to ask you this question specifically because you've literally built this space.
Yeah.
What is the difference between PR and marketing, especially for a new restaurant? And where does it get confusing?
It's not confusing. It's a lack of knowledge on the person who is asking you, actually. The line is not fine. It's very clear what marketing does and what PR does. It's just that whoever is asking this question doesn't have enough knowledge. It's like once you go to a hospital and you think one doctor does everything,
Yeah.
That's not the way it is. It's very, very specialized. So when you are looking for a PR partner or when you are setting up your marketing team, it's very important to literally bulletproof yourself with knowledge first. Public relations is about creating credibility through conversation, through trust, through relationships. And that very much exists even in today's day and world. In today's world, actually. Marketing is very, very result oriented, very measurable. It's not amoebic. It's not like what public relations is. Legacy is built on public relations, and there's no doubt about it. Brands are definitely built as juxtaposition of marketing and public relations, but the legacy is built on public relations.
But coming to that point, Varisha and Shruti, I face this problem quite a few times. A brand comes to me, and great story. A brand has a great story. But what should I recommend them? Should they go for influencer marketing? Should they go for probably, these ads, the meta ads? Or should they actually go to a journalist? What would you recommend?
So, as a service provider, I don't really ask them to like shop my service and put this in their cart. That's not what we are doing here. We're here to provide a service that perhaps packages everything for a brand when it comes to PR. Because I mean, let's be honest. Everyone agrees that we're living in a digital world today. Like the communication landscape, what it was when I started PR, which of course Riddhi can also confirm that it used to be so traditional. Like we literally used to call up landlines and request to be connected with the journalists, and that's basically that's the era that we come from. So speaking of being in the digital world today, I think everything has its own impact. It can't just be like, oh, I will do this and I will do that, because ultimately the expectation from the client's expectation is that they want everything, right? So if you want everything, it has to be a structured approach of tapping into each of the services and understanding what is it that needs to be given the push where. That's how we sort of tailor make it. So,
yeah, that's what I agree. I mean, we also go to a client and first thing we ask them is, what is your goal? What is your brand about? And what is it that you want to achieve?
Yeah.
And then once we understand that, then we make that roadmap for them, which includes a little bit of everything. But that mix, I guess, depends on, again, the kind of brand, the kind of storytelling, their goal. Do you want to scale faster? Do you want to do or a standalone restaurant? Do you want to make it more of a legacy brand? Or you want to be the neighborhood coffee shop that's going viral?
At the end of the day, they need to ask us a question as to what can we do for them, rather than coming demanding that they want this and that. That's just how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
It's so true, right? You get a call and they say, what are your packages? And you're like, for what? Bridal makeup. Like what?
Oh, I'll tell you the most funniest, okay? I got an email. They wanted PR for some cafe, restaurant, I don't remember what product. And they were like, hey, we want cover page, we want this, we want that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I literally screenshotted that, I put it on my story, and I'm like, and what else, my soul? Wo bhi le lo. It was like hilarious. I'm like, dude, imagine the level of ignorance and not wanting to pay attention.
This is what I mean. That first you don't have knowledge and then you're coming and telling your service provider, you're going to confuse the hell out of the person. And I'll tell you, one of my biggest peeves, I don't even know whether I want to say it, are marketing people. Marketing teams of brands. I can't stand them.
They will come and
They want to start their own stars.
Because they want to impress their boss.
they want to impress.
And they'll come and they'll ask you questions and you're like, what are you talking?
That's what
But a lot of times I tell people, look, we don't have a magic wand.
Okay, so moving on, we're going to talk about influencers and the real work in PR. So, Shruti, actually, I want to ask you this question. I work with brands and I keep seeing these influencer posts and talking about influencers. I think anyone with like 100K followers charges anywhere between 1.5 to 5 lakhs per post. And contrary to if suppose we go to a publication or a journalist, probably it's free provided they like your story. So I want to ask you, what's the actual ROI on these influencer posts opposed to, probably a publication?
I think both of them have their own objectives. When you go to a media house, it's different. Again, 10 years back, it was a whole different story where the only place we had was media houses, where we could put our brands out there, put the messaging out there. But today, since we have so many avenues, it's about looking at what the right channel is for your brand to put, yourself out there. So of course with media, it's very important, and I think that doesn't change because it brings a sense of credibility to the brand. I think, when it is vetted or the story is told from a very objective lens, because I used to be a journalist, it's more, objective, you study it from various angles, you try to, push the narrative where the person reading it gets a 360 approach. Whereas with a creator, I think the objective is different. It's about the brand that you feel a creator resonates with. So with brands, we always tell them it's not, and a lot of times brands look down upon creators, and they're like, they're everywhere. But I tell them that's not true. They put in a lot of effort, and there are certain creators that work for certain brands. So you cannot diss them. They are very, very important, and they're very good at what they do. When we started, like back then when journalism, we had a lot of feature stories. We had a lot of production, places where stories were told, packaged in a way what creators are doing now. they are telling your brand story in a more engaging way, reaching a wider audience.
Yeah.
Also, you're able to take the sub categories and the features of your brand and sort of make sure that their audience resonates with luxury.
Yeah.
So if there is a luxury angle to your brand, then they are saying that story. There could be somebody who's talking about experiential travel and that's their focus. So then you identify somebody who does that. So what also creators do is give you the little bit of a niche to tell different parts of your brand story. And that I feel has worked really well for all our brands. So I think they are two separate verticals and both come with their own objectives that they sort of meet.
Also, what's the fastest way of spreading news? Social media, right? I mean, influencers are the name of the game. And while not every brand may necessarily, need their push, I mean, it really depends. It depends from case to case basis.
Correct.
But all the new age brands have identified who their target audience is. And mostly, like I would say, 60-70% of the times, the brands that approach us, they approach us with the objective of wanting to work with, these creators because, they're the fastest, mode of spreading news, so to speak. So with the kind of content they create.
Like my question is, when do you know it's authentic or not? Like sometimes I just see a post and I see someone just writing, oh, I'm obsessed with this restaurant. I love it. Somewhere down the line, I think the audience is well educated to know that this is like it's not a collaborative post or something. It's more of a paid post. Maybe they don't even know the story of this brand. So how do you guys identify that difference?
I think that's what our job is all about, right? Filtering and deciding what creator resonates with which brand and what is the communication, what is the engagement. I mean, of course, we're all agreeing that no longer are we looking at followers,
Correct.
right? Whatever their following may be, but I guess it's all about the kind of engagement and the kind of ROI they're able to generate via their content. So I think filtering the right kind of people who really sort of match your brand is what I guess we've started doing. And that's why you create the ROI, by picking and choosing the right people, because the kind of content they're creating. And you obviously have done some homework, right? Like the kind of engagement that maybe something that they've done in the past have gotten. So I think that's the basis on which we sort of filter. Because it can't be, there's an ocean of creators.
Correct, exactly.
How can we just work with any random Tom, Dick and Harry? It can't work that way. So.
But then what's your take on, if I have to say, cringe-worthy PR, which is happening quite often right now that we see?
I feel really sorry about that when I hear people tell me, my journalist friends tell me that abhi itne bure din aa gaye ke WhatsApp pe unko press releases aa rahe. I'm like, guys, come on.
But I must admit, I have received emails from journalists which are completely generated by ChatGPT.
Oh wow.
So listen, yaar, nobody is clean in the river. Nobody. We can all say this one is wrong, that one is wrong, but everybody is doing what they are pointing fingers at somebody else for.
Yeah.
And I promise you, I have those, and when you see words like intersection and all these words, which you are definitely not using when you are speaking to each other.
Yeah.
Actually, a 3-line email becomes a 6-paragraph email. That whole thing has been done by AI. If a journalist is doing it, why should anybody else not be allowed to do it? It comes back to your question also about ROI and influencers. So what if it is paid? If it's reaching the right audience, so what?
I agree.
So what?
Yeah. And that is a profession, I mean.
Yeah.
Idea is for the messaging to go out.
Exactly.
Na? If the platform is able to leverage and generate revenue, so what? And then it's ultimately the audience. Nobody's holding the audience by the neck.
Yeah.
If you are voluntarily going and saying, I want to go try a product or try a restaurant or drink coffee at a cafe, you don't like it, you don't go back. But at least once to give that guy's business a chance, yeah.
I mean, this whole new trend, as I kept saying about this cringe-worthy PR that is then.
Yeah.
I mean,
What does this mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
you tell me.
I want to know. I
know some
There are
brands.
lots
I
of
mean,
things
you
I
see this.
ask. What does this mean?
No, I'm actually saying, like today we see so many things on social media and which is titled PR, but I want to know your take on some of these restaurants, like what they're doing.
So basically, they are creating this episodic like content, but the thing is, they're going down that very dirty joke sort of a thing.
So this is called cringeworthy.
Yeah.
So this is cringeworthy, but this is not PR.
This is not
PR.
part of their PR strategy. See, again, whoever's doing it for them or they are doing it. I'm just saying it this way that there are people who suggest such activities. Okay, fine, you want to be out there, talk about your food, talk about your story, not about all of this.
Yeah. See, I mean, some people are doing it
that
tastefully.
mango also, when Katrina Kaif is eating, there's a sexual appeal to it, right? So
And it's appealing to that audience of theirs.
was-
It's doing well for them, I guess. And
Is it doing well? How long will it last is my question.
That was
This is where
quick.
we're actually going to put them to test because this is a grazing table that I really want you all to taste and tell me
Okay.
how you all like it.
I want to eat.
Come on, try it.
Is it
And
by
how does it look?
Is it by I Am Wholesome? That's
You can try.
Is it by Gourmet Tales?
I don't know. First of all, how
This is like
the
a
cheese?
pepper cheese dip sort of a thing.
And this is?
Mushroom dip.
Truffle mushroom.
Okay.
How's it?
I like this dip.
And if I had to actually ask you after you guys
Yeah.
saw this, I think Varisha, you mentioned you thought that it was by I Am Wholesome. And what do you think? Like, what would you have guessed?
I mean, it's not I'm Wholesome
Yeah.
because they have a similar sort of a wooden like a hamper that they do. I mean, but they do like a lot of floral things.
they're quite nice. The mushroom one is really
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think that is the kind of difference that I've always seen in brands, that there's a difference between hype and there's a difference between credibility also.
Taste.
And a lot of brands are doing, like, it's not that anyone is up or down, but because of maybe PR, maybe because of some kind of noise that's created, people always have this notion that acha ye grazing table hai to yahin se hoga. And trust me, I love Am Wholesome, of course, I'm one of the biggest fans.
Same.
Yeah, but I just think that there are so many brands out there who are just like, who need that visibility.
Yeah.
And
This is really nice. It's
Yeah.
really
I
nicely
think that's
done.
where PR also comes into play.
Yeah. Very
That it's
nicely
just
done.
not about your influencers or your social media, and both of them do a great job.
So interestingly, you said that. That's how in fact, my journey in F&B and hospitality PR started, because I used to do fashion most of my career in PR initially.
Oh my god, I started my career with fashion
Because
PR.
somebody actually told me
Yeah,
that
like
food is the
literally.
new fashion. Because the kind of stuff we did 10 years back in
Yeah.
fashion, and the kind of leeway we had, and the
Yeah.
creativity,
Because so
and the
visual,
hype,
yeah,
so
it was
visual, yeah.
there was so much fun and joy in PR.
Yes.
And that has now transferred into hospitality and
Yeah.
F&B, because with the experiences, the brands
Yeah.
coming on board, the innovation, the
Yeah.
fun we're having with
Yeah.
it. But coming to to my point was, in lockdown, I was actually working with a lot of small businesses, helping them, understand what they can do from a communication perspective
Yeah.
to take the brand to the next level. So I feel sometimes even if we have to just mentor, do get on a
Yeah.
small call, just like maybe a small consultation
Yeah.
also helps. Because like you said, they are there, but how do they, go to the
Yeah.
next
Yeah, the
level?
ones who don't have
Yeah.
that budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they do?
Yeah.
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 No,
So I think-
I'm always happy to like advise people who are
Yeah.
genuinely, trying to
Correct.
do something but
Yeah.
they don't know. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's not always that you want to do
Yeah.
stuff for like,
Correct.
monies. Like you see someone and you see someone
Yeah.
putting in that,
Yeah.
honesty and hard work. You just want to support them in
Yeah.
whatever you can.
I think food is the best thing ever.
Okay,
So coming
yeah.
to that question,
Yeah.
because then
Yeah.
I will ask that. If I, as a new restaurant or maybe an established restaurant, have to hire any of your services,
Yeah.
what would be the range that I should at least have in my mind as a brand for PR? What's the minimum budget they should lock in? For someone, I'm not talking social media, I'm just talking PR.
Give your highest common denominator.
I think it definitely has to be anywhere between $1.5 to
Yeah.
$2.
Yeah.
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 I think that's
I mean, if you want good
Yeah.
PR, if you want
Yeah.
experienced PR,
Yeah.
if you want quality work,
Yeah.
then you make sure you have that budget.
Yeah, someone's giving you their
Yeah,
time and attention
exactly.
for your work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a service, you sit with a
Absolutely.
lawyer, you sit with a doctor.
Absolutely.
You sit with a chartered accountant,
Yeah.
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 And if you're talking about a launch, that's a lot of work being done.
It's a lot of work.
And that is where you're
Yeah.
actually placing a brand and giving
Yeah.
it that,
Yeah.
like it's once it's launched
Yeah.
and it's put on a certain level, that's where you just then need to build on. So you
Correct.
have to ideally,
Yeah.
make sure that you're hiring the best agency and making sure you're giving them that.
Yeah.
And to
their due.
add on to that, the amount of like back end work
Yeah.
that goes into
Yeah,
reaching there, reaching on the day one of the launch. I mean,
It's a lot
it's
of
honestly no joke. Like everyone just see
Yeah.
the fancies
Yeah.
behind, like, oh, we're getting invited for this
Correct.
like bar
Yeah.
launch and restaurant launch, but we know what goes
Yeah.
into it. So
Yeah.
that's that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the time, energy, expertise to make it a success.
Correct. Yeah, and when someone with experience is talking to you, they're giving you their time, it has to be worth it, right?
Yeah.
At every level.
Yeah.
Simple. Yeah.
And in fact, I don't know whether I should even say this, but I feel, and we've all worked in this industry for so long, I just feel like now with more social media, and like you said, people just feeling like they can do PR and anyone just coming in and doing it. The rate appreciation hasn't happened in the last 20 years. It's the same.
Yes.
Any other industry would have doubled.
Your retainers
are the same for the last 20 years.
Absolutely.
And they don't realize what we bring to the table today. If your restaurant is known and the top of the town, the kind of ROI you're getting is next level. It's unmatchable.
Yeah.
And if you had to put money to buy the same space in a newspaper or get that kind of branded partnerships, you would spend 10x.
You would not even be able to afford it.
Exactly.
Yeah. When you come with experience to the table, you are inadvertently, especially if you are a senior member in the space, you are inadvertently doing more than your job.
Correct.
You are almost like a partner in their business, And what happens is in that journey itself, the relationship becomes so much more integrated. It goes beyond, this is what are you doing for PR today? No, it's a lot more.
Correct.
Yeah, you just become a custodian.
Correct. It's like a collective ownership. That listen, I want this brand to do well. It's not you and me, it's us.
Correct.
It's we.
Yeah.
It's our thing.
Yeah.
And that is when you also find the right PR partner, because that vibration, that listen, I know this is the person I'm going to be able to add value to.
Correct.
This person is going to know that this person I'm going to be able to trust him or her with my public relations, because ultimately we become the voice of the brand to the outside world. So you have to trust us.
Yeah.
And if that trust is not there at the get-go, you should not work with the client.
Yeah.
True. Like when I talk about my brands, I don't say, I'm like with my restaurant.
I think everyone over here, like on this table, have invested that kind of time, energy into doing something that we really love.
Yeah.
And what, the person is getting is that passion, and it's that honesty and that love for what we do.
Yeah.
And I think we'll go like extra miles to achieve that for the brand.
Yeah.
Because like Shruti rightly said, we're the loudest cheerleaders, for our own brands when we, when we speak to people.
You feel happy.
You feel really happy when you're doing good work, Ultimately, it just comes down to that, which I think people really need to identify rather than shopping around and being like, iska itna rate hai, uska utna rate hai.
People should not also realize that stick with one person who
They don't have patience.
Oh my
And
God.
this is what I feel. I think the two of you will resonate. I think you guys have worked on
It's like shopping on Tinder. 3 mahine uska use kiya Exactly. That's exactly why I said what I said.
Yeah.
And you're like, Baba, the media universe is the same.
Yeah.
So if you create
That relationship.
with somebody for your brand,
Exactly.
so let them take that relationship forward, let them have that ownership and work long term. I feel that is one advice you should give brands.
I tell them, please have
Yes.
some patience, because PR
And you should also have the honesty to talk money.
Yeah.
Say that, listen, right now I don't have money, so do you think you can make it work at so and so price?
Correct.
I'm telling you, there is nothing stronger than the truth. And there's nothing stronger than a truthful conversation.
Yeah.
You should have that confidence at both ends, that listen, if I want to work with you, I'll make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
If you want to work with
think we've
me,
all done
as
that.
opposed to you
Yeah.
going behind my back and
Correct.
doing this
I think
extra.
that's why I call you the OG. And
The goat.
yeah, the goat. And on that note, I'm just going to have some cheese. So we're moving to the next segment. That's the rapid fire round. 5 questions. Please be fast, be quick. Okay, first question. Most overrated food trend right now? Shruti, can I answer?
Matcha.
Matcha. I was
Oh
just
God.
gonna say, I like matcha.
I can't do matcha.
I would see these patisseries and mushrooming everywhere.
The PR win that each of y'all are really, really proud of. Just one word.
So we had won the ET Hospitality Award for the best PR, and that came out of nowhere. So
Amazing.
That got out of nowhere.
I think we were not expecting it. We didn't nominate ourselves. So it just came, like we were told, and that was about 2 years back.
I think for me, so since I'm a new mom, I resumed work 4 months after my delivery, and we started this year with a bang with one of the most biggest South Indian brands that is in our country, and they chose to work with us, and this was literally right out of me coming out of my maternity break, in between postpartum, figuring my days and nights with my baby, and having to sort of launch it in a way it went. So that validation just made me believe that women can do just everything.
Oh, indeed.
The biggest mistake that you've seen a founder make with PR?
Which I was mentioning, that just jumping PRs one after the other.
I have the same answer.
Yeah.
I have the same answer.
I think you just stick with one and build your brand. We work with brands for 10 years, the same brand.
Really.
And we know, the ownership we bring, the commitment we bring.
Yeah.
Don't keep, changing
Jumping.
everything.
Yeah. 3 months with you, 3 months with me.
I also feel another big mistake what I even see happening today is that appointing salespeople as PR people or salespeople as in the communications team, they have no idea. They just have, they should just go sell.
Yeah.
And finally, a spicy one. I think you guys have kind of worked on the same brands. I'm sure everyone has.
Yeah.
So what do you all think? Any one particular brand that you'd want to name that you think you could have a better approach maybe?
Why? This is what to put us in trouble.
No.
So after this podcast, you better make us so famous that who doesn't want to work with us, we have enough to compensate.
No, I think we all, like we were saying, we bring that sort of passion and commitment, and we all try to do our best.
I mean, them choosing to work with us or not work with us doesn't really, make or break us, or change anything about us.
It can temporarily move the needle, but nothing more than that.
I mean, we're all here to do good, honest work.
Yeah, and we'll keep doing that.
And everybody cannot make up everything. I want there's space for all of us to do.
That's
For everyone.
Yeah, and our years of experience, is the validation. The fact we're all sitting here with you is a good enough, truth that goodness and I mean, I guess
just honesty.
just honesty, honest work it still exists.
So that was the end of our rapid fire round. And now this is the last segment that we're actually going on to.
Yeah.
So I guess you guys have worked with probably any and everyone in the industry today. But if I had to ask you, and let's manifest this because I really believe in manifestation. So who is your dream manifestation client? If I had to ask you.
So this year I was manifesting. I mean, when I thought I want something, it was probably a tourism board that I want to work with internationally. That's something that's on my manifestation. Like I'm thinking that's the great one.
I have someone in mind. I will tell you.
Just say it out loud. And maybe
Dubai tourism.
And that's something that's on my cards. And maybe like a brand like Aman that doesn't believe in PR, getting somebody like them on board would be great.
No, I mean, when you say dream client, this dream client only is in the dream. Okay, and I would say it would be Diljit Dosanjh. Not like he needs PR, but it would definitely be working with him. I've been to two of his shows, and I just think
so
it's incredible.
Riddhi is manifesting.
No, what he needs me. He's like...
You don't know.
Exactly.
You realize how everyone needs it. How everyone needs PR guys.
Yes.
Everyone needs a good, solid team.
All of us have an all-women team.
Oh, yes.
I think that's really, really, today I keep questioning myself, do we need a guy or no? I don't know, but I love my team. And I think they are doing it's an all-girls team and everyone does a phenomenal job. And I've seen this in all of us. I mean, I've been a part of your team as well. Yeah,
good,
I think all-girls team is the best.
I agree. Yeah, I just agree. I mean, I just feel like we women are just really hardworking, I just feel like no discounting the boys, but I just feel no discounting the boys.
There is something women actually.
The drive, the vigor, and honestly, it doesn't matter even if it's some journalist messaging on a Sunday for a table at a restaurant. My team will very graciously respond to them as well, because I just feel like that just comes from the discipline of wanting to really sort of do service. You know what I mean?
Actually,
about that.
And I just think communications, women,
exactly. I think it's that.
The openness to receive.
Yeah.
See, because in PR you cannot have an ego.
Yes.
And sorry to say, men have a very big ego, and
Yeah.
the Indian man has an even bigger ego than most men. But that is also an Indian woman from the beginning is really thought that, listen, everything is above you. So imagine having that attitude towards work, right? It's beautiful when you look at it.
Yeah.
And I think PR has
so giving.
empowered just so many women.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Like I feel this profession
Yeah.
was meant for like women.
Yeah, 100%,
It is for the women,
Yeah.
by the women. Majority
Yeah.
of the agencies are
Women.
owned.
Yeah.
And we're literally, doing a really great deed
Totally,
for so
yeah.
many people out there, helping them
Yeah.
get recognition and stuff. And let's also be honest, like our job is super thankless, and we're okay
What
with
do you
that.
get?
And
But
that's
again,
we're
the
okay
power
with
of a
that.
woman,
We're completely
we don't
okay
need
with that.
validation.
Yeah.
Finally, Varisha, who is your dream client? I want that answer that we actually discussed before.
I don't know, yeah. I haven't really thought of a dream client per se, but I just feel like my dream is to just make sure that VCK becomes like this really big, recognized
Amen to that.
agency,
Yeah.
and
God bless.
for the good work that we're doing, for the honest work that we're doing.
Yeah. See this.
He just ruined my moment. That's why I don't have men. I haven't really thought of a dream client per se, but I think my, dream would just be to make sure that VCK becomes like a really big agency, and for the hard work, for the honest work that we're doing, and people really recognize that for what we bring on the table. And yeah, we just keep attracting good work, good people, and good brands, and I guess that's the dream.
Sustainability is way stronger than success.
Yes.
If you are able to sustain,
Yeah.
that is in itself success.
Yes.
In its truest form. Because to
couldn't
be
agree more.
successful is not difficult for many people. You just depends on what your idea of success is.
Yeah.
Come crashing down is also not difficult. But
Yeah.
to be able to sustain is, you
Yeah.
know. So keep swimming,
Yeah.
keep jogging, keep running, do it every day, do the
Just
same
show
thing,
up.
but just show up.
Just show up, yeah.
You know?
Showing up,
and
that's
that is
all
a
you
big
need,
gift. And that's the biggest gift you can give yourself,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Oh, my biggest win moment was also like after this obviously brand launch. I had not expected this, but it was Women's Day, and Elle India had done an article on all the PR women in the industry. And to my surprise, I was literally first on the list.
Woohoo!
Like 6 months after having my baby, and I was like, I had not expected that. So I was just like, that credibility just made me feel like, okay, man.
Someone somewhere is noticing, and and even if they're not noticing, so what?
Yeah. I mean, whether first or no, being on that list was such a privilege.
Yeah.
But seeing my name on the first was just like, oh my God. I was just like, what?
Lovely.
But yeah, that was my moment.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you guys. I mean, this was the very first episode of the Curator's Table. So thank you, Shruti, Riddhi, Varisha, for being here, for being so real, for being so honest and telling us what works, what doesn't work. And for everyone watching this episode, I want to tell you that these three women, I mean, they are cheerleaders for a lot of restaurants, but I am their biggest cheerleader for a reason. But they've literally, I've seen them over the past, I think, 10 years now. And I think these guys have literally shaped how PR works in hospitality. So yes, please do follow them. And they are your to go for everything. So this was our very first episode of the Curator's Table. And in our very next edition, we're going to have someone doing something completely different. And if you want to learn much more about people shaping this industry, real conversations, no BS, please follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel, that's Gourmet Tales Co. and follow us on Spotify as well.